One of the hardest things to deal with in life is change. Okay. Change is one of the hardest things to deal with. And yet we experience change every single day in one way or another. It could be weekly in some cases, monthly, a few times a year, or yearly, and so on and so forth. Change is inevitable. And yet, and yet, it can be difficult to cope with changes that we experience in life. Okay, so this video is all about how to cope with feeling as if you're not put together or fully you anymore. Because one of the things that can happen when you're going through all these changes in life, whether it's you're growing, you have growing pains from business growth, you're growing in reference to your personal development. We always talk about personal development and working through traumas, and we talk about healing, but that comes with change. Okay, so that those changes could include changes in your family structure. It could include changes in reference to relationships that you've had. You start to outgrow people. You start to be alone more. You start to feel as if you're rejected because you're not doing things the way you used to do. You're standing up for certain things. You're standing up for yourself. You are setting boundaries. And so it comes with all these changes. You're waiting to walk into that land flowing with milk and honey that God has promised, but it comes with changes. It comes with waiting, a waiting season. It comes with being tested and tried, right? You start getting tested and tried, and you feel like, what is this about? What is this about? What is this about? Like, why do I not feel like fully me? And if you've been given a marriage promise, you could be feeling a lot of what your person is feeling. Okay, because you might be feeling once upon a time, right? Once upon a time, it was all about you. It was all about you. It was just about your life. So you had the strength, will, capacity, the energy, the zest, the independence, the enthusiasm for your life. You had all of that zeal. You didn't need anybody else. It was nice if you had somebody, but you didn't really need them. Yeah, you may have had moments where you did need people, right? Maybe you're going through a rough season, or you're going through some issues. Yeah, that's different. But what I mean is, for the most part, you were fully you because it was all about you. But once God is preparing you for marriage, when God is putting you together with someone, you're not going to feel like fully you anymore, because you're going to have to feel that incompleteness. God is going to have to allow you to feel like something is missing, as if an arm is missing, so that you realize, I can't do life by myself anymore. Whereas before, you could, right? It would be nice if you got married, but it wasn't as important as it seemed until it became important. Because with all the great work you're focused on and all the amazing activities, God looked and saw that man should not be alone. He looked and saw in your life that, yeah, this girl is doing well. She's fly. She's successful. He's fly. He's successful. He's doing good. My son is shining. He's glowing. But let's get him a wife, because he ain't doing as well as he thinks he's doing. If he thinks he's doing well, imagine how well he'll be doing when he has a wife. And it's not just about the glitz and glam of being a power couple and traveling and going to the Maldives, which I want to go to, right? I'm sure you want to go to as well. It's not just about having a marriage full of intimacy and all this amazing love and romance, but it's about your destiny. What are you called to do? It's about the assignment on your lives. You might be helping charities. You might have your own charity. So now you can help young children that have been, maybe it could be to do with human trafficking, it could be to do with, prison outreach work. There's so many things that God may want you to do in your marriage. Now, sometimes God needs there to be a covering as well, because without that covering, you're spiritually vulnerable, you're physically vulnerable, you're emotionally, mentally vulnerable, financially vulnerable, and so on and so forth. So sometimes marriage is also a covering that protects you from a lot of warfare and a lot of evil as well, and even just wrong a lot of drama that is unnecessary for God's kingdom people. So you might be feeling as if you're not put together anymore or fully you, because you might actually be assigned for marriage and it's your marriage season. Whether you like it or not, or whether you want to be married or not, it could be just your time. And you have to allow God to finish preparing you for it. Sometimes we get prepared for things that we want, and sometimes we get prepared for things that we don't want. And in this generation, we live in a generation where a lot of people have indirectly become selfish. A lot of people are like, I don't need anybody, it's all about me. But yet your best hobby has become just scrolling through your phone. That has become your a massive part of your day, is to scroll, 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 mean endless scroll, looking to see if you've got a comment. Did you get another like? Did anyone follow you? That has become your routine. God has much more for you to do in life than that. You might be spending 3 hours a day doing that and you may not even know. Or it could be 6 hours a day looking at what people are doing, watching random videos. Is that the destiny that God called you for? Yeah, watching videos is great, getting tips and advice, but some of it is just noise. It actually is distracting and it's actually draining your energy, draining your batteries, which is why you wake up and you might feel numb. You wake up and you feel like you're not really, like, you just don't feel like you. You go and watch certain videos on TikTok and it gets you all into this wild mood of like, yeah, I don't need men. Yeah, I'm going to stay single. Yeah. Do you know what? That's why I'm not getting married. And just get these. I see people write these things, and it's all based on them being triggered by other people's experiences. It's like you've not gone to. A lot of people would say to me, they'll say things like, "Oh, I'm not going to come to London because I've heard that London girls don't cook and all this." And I'm just like, you know what? You have not. Yes, you know what? You need to actually come to London. You need to visit London and stop listening to what you're hearing. That's the thing. You're listening to people talk. I don't really know anyone that's a London girl that doesn't cook. That's Nigerian. They're referring to. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, there's loads of people that come in from Nigeria, and they do realize that, oh, actually, it's not the way they thought it was. It's not how you think it is, or how they thought it was. But they had the chance to come and see for themselves. So I want you to really start to learn to see things for yourself. Don't say, oh, this is how it is in this country, in this city, in this state. Go there for yourself and find out how it really is. And that's the thing. We live in a society where people are not really traveling enough. That's why it's easy to just be stuck in people, people being stuck in their own way of thinking, because they're not even getting out there enough to see other parts of the world, see how things are done differently, meet people from different cultures and backgrounds, to be able to have that understanding that the world is not exactly as it is where you live or where I live. I went to Dubai. Before I got to Dubai, I was told, oh, you have to, I was wearing black thick tights. I had my cardigan on, covering my arms, until I got there and I realized by about day two, I saw some woman wearing like shorts and a top. And I'm like, I've got my long cardigan on and it's baking hot. Like, what's up? And I spoke to this, we had this, a tour guide, like my mum's, I was with my auntie, my mother, and my aunt, another auntie. So one of the aunties, they had arranged for us to have a tour person, like someone that can just guide us around, that's Nigerian, that can just help us to find the African food, the gold market, like where is all the amazing shops or whatever, like places to find, because we didn't know where to go. So this person came with us, and we had some other we were there for a wedding, so there were other cousins and stuff, but we would meet with those cousins at other times and stuff. So anyway, we went to try and find this gold market, because this is where like all this gold is, where they sell the gold, and we wanted to find where the African food was, right, the Nigerian food. So this guy was trying to show us and everything, and I said to him, I said, how comes that girl is wearing shorts and like she's just got a normal top on and stuff? Is that okay in Dubai? And he said, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Of course it's okay. I said, because I thought we're meant to wear long, this. He goes, no, that's not how Dubai is. That's what you, he goes, even, and he even said that like people even like because I think I saw a couple kissing, and he was like, yeah, like this is okay for like the tourists, you know. Um, I mean, I hope I hope I'm remembering that part right. Maybe I got that part wrong, the kissing part. I think that's okay. I mean, I'm sure I saw someone kissing. I'm not saying go around kissing in Dubai, by the way, because I might have got that bit wrong. But I know for a fact that you can wear whatever you want in Dubai, right? As in, what I mean by this is, for the most part, it's acceptable. No one's going to be like, "What are you wearing?" Especially if you're a tourist. You know, they understand that there are a lot of tourists there, and so this idea that you have to, I'm not saying you should walk around with a bikini. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying, if you were to wear like shorts and a top, no one's going to bother you, right? Even if you've got one or two stairs, that's probably just about it. No one cares. Everyone is just, it's a very easygoing city. Everyone's easygoing. It's, you know, obviously it's wise to dress a bit more, a little bit more covered up, but you don't have to wear long cardigans and long trousers down to your, you don't have to, because that's not the way it is. Just like in, but guess what? Like there are some places where it is like that, So there are some parts of the Middle East where you have to make sure you're very covered up. So it's about really, um, definitely do what people say. Like if you think you're meant to be covered up, just go there covered up, and then find out for yourself what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. And sometimes what's acceptable for one part of the place, like maybe the beach, that's it's okay here, but it may not be acceptable in another place, right? So use discretion in that way. Like you can always ask, like, hey, am I allowed to dress like this in this hotel? Because maybe they have standards in one place that they don't have in another. So I hope that this is helpful to you all, and begin to start to think for yourself, find out things for yourself, stop being someone that is brainwashed, brainwashed, and start learning about life for yourself. A lot of people, they get people's advice on this person, on that place, and this, and it's like that's why people don't end up sometimes winning in life, because it's always about what people think. What's your opinion? What's your thoughts? Meanwhile, God is the one you should be asking. And, sometimes you've got to hide your promises that God gives you. You've got to hide them with Him, because the minute everyone knows, or the minute some people know, that's when distraction comes. That's when jealousy comes. That's when envy comes. That's when people are working overtime to destroy what God has for you before you've even received it. They've already done 15 things. And, this reminds me of like basically a video I was watching by Bendigo Lufel. He actually spoke about how, when he wanted to get married to his wife, there was he sent photos to different prophets, right? He didn't even know these prophets, but they looked like they were well connected. They looked like they were influential. They looked like they were great men and great women of God, right? So he just thought, yeah, let me send the photo of my, potential future wife and see what they think. And he said that it was terrible. At first, obviously, Finn's, they didn't even get back to him at first, but eventually started getting back to him and saying that she's a Jezebel. She reads star, like basically she's into star signs. She's not like if he marries her, his finances are going to be destroyed, and all of this. It was, and then these people, some of them were even like he was talking about how like, but meanwhile you're dreaming about these people, and they're having sex with you in the dream. And basically, what I feel like what he was trying to say is that some of them may have been attacking him in his dreams. So they're pretending to be these true prophets, but they were false prophets, unfortunately, which he didn't know. And then they're trying to block his marriage. And he said that how, like, what's quite interesting is that they were also attacking her with witchcraft. So she was now being attacked because he went and told these people things he shouldn't have been telling them. It's okay to confide to maybe one or two friends or maybe a few family members, but when it's like everybody must know, then you're allowing all those spirits to also know that they have. So if they have like monitoring spirits, or if they have envy, some of them, So anyway, what happened is that he had to even put his wife through deliverance because of him opening the door to people's, because one woman contacted him 1 week before his marriage, or 2 weeks before he got married. And she was like, yeah, don't marry her, this, that, and the other. Imagine how he must have felt like 2 weeks before the marriage. He's now confused. Should I go ahead? Should I not? Turns out he went ahead and he decided he knew that God, that he was meant to marry her, and whatever that woman was saying, he knew that that was not true. And he also confronted his wife, like, because I think he had her on loudspeaker once when one of the prophets was saying negative things about her. And she was like, this is not true. I'm not, and they kept saying that like his finances would dry up, his ministry would crash and all of this. Well, turns out that his ministry literally grew massively when he got married to her. His finances tripled. And basically, he said he's written 6 books now. He's got 6 books published. He didn't have no book before he married her. Okay. And he only married her, not like, I don't, it just seems as if I think it's a few years ago, so it's not even like it's been that long, but all this, everything they said is the opposite. Okay, it's the opposite. So um half the time when we don't feel fully confident in something that God has promised us, or when we don't feel confident in what our assignment is, or we feel a bit like something is missing, we go seeking external validation. And so be careful of that, because even God himself will allow you to learn a few lessons if you're always needing to seek external validation. And that validation could even be something like the only person that can heal you has to be medicine, right? So sometimes you might even have a thing where it's like God might be trying to tell you to meditate on his word for your healing. Maybe you have migraines a lot and you keep on relying on medicine, which, there's nothing wrong with medicine, but you might think the only person that can bring you healing is a doctor. And then maybe, you might have that mentality. Maybe God's saying just drink more water and stop sleeping past 11, sleep before 11 or something. But you will not take that simple advice, because you have to do it the way you're used to, which is you have to use the migraine tablets, you have to go to the doctor. And then you do all that and realize that it causing you even more side effects. And then you realize that actually it was even worse than what you may have thought, right? Or maybe you think, oh, the only way that you can get rid of like the cold you have is to get antibiotics. And God is like, don't get antibiotics, just rest it out. But for some reason, we don't like listening to God. We like to go out of our way to try and do what we think works. And this refers to even things like a BBL. Like some women, they just cannot accept the fact that they have a nice bum, that the bum is fine. And then they go out and do all this only to have a lot of it removed, or to have all sorts of issues when they get a BBL. All sorts of issues that could have been avoided if self-love was more of the priority. With such a dangerous, because BBL is such a dangerous procedure, right? I'm not necessarily saying people should do it, not do it. It's none of my business. Um, what I'm saying is that external validation cannot fix a lot of the things that people think is missing in their lives. Sometimes it's better to work more on your self-worth than doing something to try to get some external validation. Oh, if I just get this done, then I'll get this acceptance, or then I'll feel better about myself. But what happens usually is when a celebrity fixes one problem, they fix their nose, then they realize that it makes their cheeks look too big, and then they have to get something done to their cheeks, and then they realize their lips look too small, then they have to get and it just becomes a vicious circle. And some of the most beautiful women in Hollywood today, they don't look anything like that. They've really ruined their faces and stuff, ruined their bodies. They say it themselves, all for this quest of beauty, but they already had the beauty. And even if they did want to do one or two things, they just took it too far. It became an addiction, and we don't know what, a lot of us we don't know what's in our bloodline. We don't know the things we can become addicted to. And so sometimes it's just better to be careful not to just go and like just try all these things, because you don't know if you have a lineage where there's addiction. Maybe someone else in your bloodline was addicted to like beauty treatments all the time, and then you go and do one procedure, and then now you become addicted because it's already in your bloodline, but you don't know about it. You don't know that 3 other women in your family in different generations were addicted to everything to do with beauty, and then now you've received that. Or maybe you go and have some wine, right? You go and have a little bit of alcohol, And you might think, oh, that's fine, you're just social drinking. But you don't know that you have people in your family that were addicted to alcohol and that were even alcoholics. And so you have to be careful. What that's why you see that many people can try something or do something and they're all fine, but there's just one person that ends up, something just goes really wrong with them. Loads of people have done what's like, if we just use, a very sad example, very, very sad example, but with Whitney Houston, a lot of people in Hollywood have probably done similar things, right? They've tried, substances, right? They may have also tried what she tried. But why is it that she ended like that, but they didn't? Why are they? Some of them, they don't even. You would never even know they tried something because they're living life, bouncing, living their best life, and they're married with kids. They're very, Why is it that it was different for her? We don't know the person that the enemy is targeted for destruction. We don't know the bloodline, whether there is addiction in the bloodline. We see this in life as well. Why is it that everyone else is drinking, but there's one person that just becomes the alcoholic? Why? Is there something in them that is that the enemy is targeted for destruction, whereas others, and that's why some people shouldn't pick up a cigarette, because you may think you'll be fine, but you're the one that would not be able to give it up. Okay, that's why we need to listen to God, because we don't know, and God is trying to save us from so many things. And it can even be the same in terms of like when somebody's married and maybe other guys are cheating, but why is it that this man that cheats, he loses everything? Why is it that he loses his home, his kids, the dog, the cat? He loses his wife. He might be thinking, well, other might, he might be thinking his friends, like his other friends, but other friends did it. They cheat on their wives, so how comes it, they didn't lose their wives forgave them. Well, you might not be the one that will just be easily forgiven. You might have God's hand on your life, or maybe the enemy's against you and wants to destroy you. And so you can't get away with the things your friends get away with. There are some people that didn't even commit a crime, but yet still they're in prison today for something they didn't even, just because they were even just there. Then they got framed, and their friends that did the thing, they're running around scot-free, living their best lives, but they are in prison taking the rap for what other people did. So how do we cope with these feelings as if you're not put together or fully you? Sometimes we want to like maybe numb those feelings or just do something wild or fun or exciting. That's sometimes that could be of God, and sometimes it could be our own fantasy or something, right? But I would say just surrender those desires to God and ask for wisdom and clarity and direction, because there's always going to be something trying to pull you in different directions. But the reality is, what is your destiny? What is your purpose? And I think if you're watching this video, one thing I'll say about you is you cannot get away with the things that others get away with. That is what I'll say to you, is you can try that thing, and that's the thing that's going to mess you up. Some of you tried to smoke, and that was, you had a head rush. You tried to drink, you got drunk, you just felt so sick, you never did it again because it just didn't work for you. You tried a little bit of weed, and boy, did it mess you up. Okay, but then your friends are out having weed every single day. Okay, so for where you're going, it's important to sit in your feelings, allow the uncomfortable feelings, allow some boredom in your life. Like, you don't have to always be doing something exciting, going on a yacht, being in the air, traveling here, traveling, like, that is not real life for most people. Holidays come, exciting opportunities come, trips come, but it's not the norm for everyone. And just because you see it on Instagram, it doesn't mean that you're missing out on anything, because some people do that stuff and they are miserable in the airport waiting for that flight. They are drained, exhausted, traveling so much, and it's causing fights in their relationship or in their marriage. Okay, so all that glitters is not gold. Okay, there's a lot of waiting in airports, hours of waiting. It's not always fun. And music videos that you may look at and think, oh, wow, look at this video, look at this exquisite experience. Like, why is God not giving me experiences like that? Why am I just. Most people are not having experiences like that. They may just have that experience because they are a travel influencer. They specifically do that as a job, whereas you are living a different life as a doctor or as a nurse or as a musician or as a painter or as a teacher, right? So it's not realistic for you to go traveling every 5 minutes. But you can do things that are still fun, like going to a coffee shop or going for a walk or going swimming and the gym. And there's still things you can do. You can declutter change your environment, buy new things. Like there's still things to do. Shopping, right? There's different restaurants. There's so much to do. You can start to, collect perfumes or collect ties. Like there's so many things to do, even little things like visiting family members and going to you can do some online support work, right? There's so much to do. You can get involved in charity work, volunteering, even online. You can join a prayer team and just volunteer to pray for people, or you can volunteer to like join a charity where you're just sending out articles or whatever it is. There's stuff to do. And then when you do those things, you will have those holidays come up and that exciting moment come up, the trip, and those things will come. And if you want more of those things, then ask God for those things. But stop envying and coveting and thinking that people have it better than you, because most people would love your life. I remember once, hearing the Lord say that somebody wants like they prefer my way of living than their own, in terms of the fact that I'm not necessarily. I think sometimes we think that like some people, you don't understand that some people envy your soft life, in that sense. So there's people watching you on social media and they want that kind of life that you have, which is you're just easygoing, you're just chilled out, you're just happy to work, or you're happy to be in the park, you're just happy to just chill. They see that in you. They see you baking or cooking and just posting just soft life things, or maybe you're posting your scriptures or just reading your Bible, and they're like, wow, that's so interesting. But you might see them traveling around the world and doing all these cool things and think that they are so fulfilled by that, but they may not be. Okay, so some of your friends or family, you might wonder, why are they envious of you? And by the way, some of them admire it, and it's very, healthy, very healthy admiration. But some of them, it is absolute pure jealousy, and they're jealous, but they're doing bigger things. But the reason why they're jealous is because they see that you're at peace and content. But a lot of them are not content, because some of the things they're doing is not. It's just for outside validation. It's not really what they believe they're called to do, their divine purpose. It's just to prove something. And I used to do that sometimes. I used to be like, oh, I need to go to these events because I need to be doing something so I can post it on social media. I mean, to be honest with you, I really did enjoy it. I really loved it. Like, I didn't do it because I just wanted outside validation. But I mean, sometimes I didn't want to go to those events and I just have to go because, I have to post stuff on social media. It can be a shallow life sometimes, guys. But when you're doing more of the real things, doing things that are meaningful, that's when that vitality comes, and that's when that contentment comes, and that's when people start realizing, wow, this person, they have depth. Like this, there is like there's someone I know that she posts just the most beautiful posts. She's not posting holidays that she's going to every 5 minutes, but I love her posts, and I can feel more depth from her than most people that post the most exciting adventures that they're up to. There's something sometimes about someone that has a bit of mystery to them, Anyway, hope this is helpful to you all. Hope this encourages you. I'm sending you love and blessings and strength, vitality. And I pray this week ahead will be a wonderful one for you. Today is literally the 16th of September, but you could be watching this or listening to this another day of the week. So I hope you have a wonderful one. for this new week. But if you're listening on another day, yeah, still be blessed and encouraged. This is Queen Choma. I love you. Take care. Bye.